Okay, so we will start. Okay, so today we will discuss some elementary signals. Okay, so those are important in building the signals and systems, various systems. So those elementary signals are so some elementary signals. So we can call that as exponential signals. Okay, so some of the elementary signals we can discuss today. Elementary signals. So among those, first one is an exponential signal. Okay, so exponential signal, and next one is sinusoidal signal. Okay, so next one is a unit step function. So this we have already some information we have discussed. Unit step signal and impulse signal. Okay, so and also the ramp signal. Okay, so now coming to this one, so we'll discuss this exponential little bit later. So we'll take the sinusoidal signal. So now what are these sinusoidal signals? So how it will be useful in signals and systems? Okay, so now if you want to define a sinusoidal signal, okay, so we have signal x of t, say for example, okay, so which is defined by a into cos of omega t plus pi. Okay, so where this omega, it is an angular frequency and which is defined in terms of frequency and the time period as 2 pi f or 2 pi by t, so that we know, and this phi is the phase shift. Okay, this phi is the phase shift, or you can take it as theta also, so generally we will take it as phi. So now if you plot this function, okay, as a function of
Sir,
time.
your voice is not hearing.
It's not clear. So now it is visible, now it is audible. Hello. Okay, so now we discuss today some of the elementary signals. So among those elementary signals we have,
Yes, sir.
hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so some of the elementary signals we will discuss. So among those elementary signals, so these are very important in building signals and systems, and making these complex signals, we can make the complex systems, or also by using these signals, okay, so we can analyze the complex systems. Okay, so that will exist in the practical. So among those elementary signals, we have exponential signals, sinusoidal signals, unit step signal. So this unit step signal which we have discussed, some small information, and impulse signal or ramp signal. Okay, so these are all the some of the important elementary signals. So now exponential signal will come little bit later. So first we will discuss the sinusoidal signal. So what is meant by sinusoidal signal? Okay, now how it will helps to analyze the complex signals in systems. Okay, so now let us take x of t, which is defined by a sinusoidal signal, which is given by a cos of omega t plus phi. A is an amplitude. Okay, it is an amplitude. Omega we already know, it is angular frequency, define it as in terms of frequency 2 pi f, and in terms of time period we will call it as 2 pi by t. So now if I plot this x of t, okay, with respect to the time variation, so you will get the cos signal as like this. Okay, so now wherever it is repeating the maximum, so from between maximum to maximum, so that we'll call it as the period, that we'll call it as the t, which is period. Okay, so now we can observe here, so now this is in the positive direction. Now if I plot in the negative direction, okay, so this will be exactly symmetric about this vertical axis. Okay, so you can see here, if I take this vertical axis, okay, the amplitude versus the time, so now we can observe whatever the wave which is traveling in the positive direction, it is exactly reflecting, that is symmetric about this the vertical axis. So whatever the values points is here, so it is reflecting here. Okay, so that means this is completely asymmetric about the vertical axis. So whenever the signal which is symmetric about the vertical axis, those signals we can call it as an even signal. So that's why signal, the cos signal or the cos function, that's why we will call it as an even signal. That is, so if you take any value which is in the negative side, so that is x of minus t, so but the wave shape it will be same as what is x of t, which is defined in the positive direction. Okay, so it is symmetric about the vertical axis. Okay, so this is about the sinusoidal signal in continuous domain. In the similar case, if you take the in discrete time domain, so that also we can define. So now in the continuous case itself, if you take x of t, okay, as a sine of omega t plus pi. So now if you take sinusoidal signal, okay, that is sine function. So both cos and sine are sinusoidal signals only. It is a group of sinusoidal signals, but the function whatever we define, so that differs. So the cos function is even signal and it is symmetric about the vertical axis. And if you plot the sine signal, okay, so now if you plot the sine signal, so you can see here, so this is sine signal, and here the phase is, so it is 90 degree, and here the phase is 0. Okay, so whatever phi we define, that defines the phase. So now phase is 0 here, and you can the sinusoidal signal which will be differ like this with respect to time. Okay, so now if I same thing if I draw in the negative side, so this will go like this. Okay, so now whatever we define peak to peak, so that will be the fundamental period, and it will be having the phase of 2 pi. So the variation of this from here peak to peak, it will be have one cycle which is variation of 2 pi phase. So that's why the frequency we define it as 2 pi by t. Okay, so now you can observe here, so this sinusoidal signal about the vertical axis, what it will happen, so whatever it is there, okay, it is the anti-symmetric. Anti-symmetric means whatever you get symmetric and again negate. Okay, that is whatever you do x of t which is given the reflection, that is first you invert the signal or reflect the signal by taking t as minus t. So this signal it will give like this. So if you take x of minus t for sinusoidal signal, okay, so now if I just the positive whatever duration is there, if I just reflect here, it will become like this. Okay, so it will become like this, whatever x of minus t. Now if I invert again about this horizontal axis, so okay, so whatever about horizontal axis, if I invert, so then it will give the negative of this whatever sinusoid. Okay, so what if I negate about the horizontal axis, then it will give, that means this x of t, if you negate about the horizontal axis, then it will give the negative portion of this sinusoidal signal. So that's why which is called as anti-symmetric about the vertical axis. So if it is same, it is symmetric, and if it is negate with respect to horizontal axis, then it will become anti-symmetric. Okay. So this cos function, that's why it is an even signal. So this sine function, so since it is original signal x of t, so in the negative portion we will get minus of x of minus t, so which is called as anti-symmetric. So that's why it is called an odd function, the sine function, that's why we will call it as an odd function. Okay. So this sine function we will call it as an odd function because of its anti-symmetric nature. Okay. So now this is about the continuous signal and the continuous sinusoidal signal. So now if I say for example, if I want to find out for this what is the period of the signal, whether it is periodic or not. Say for example, x of t is there. Okay. So a into cos of omega t plus pi. So now if I want to say the signal is periodic, so what is the condition? What is the condition? If I replace t by t, it should give back the same signal x of t, right? So that is a periodic signal which we have defined for the period t, is it not? So now for this signal, okay, so if you replace t by t, whether it is giving same signal or not, you check it. So then we can say that, so the signal whether it is periodic or not. Okay. So now we can take x of t, so which is equal to, so a cos of omega t plus pi. So now we can replace x of t by t plus t. So now we can give a cos of omega into, that is t plus t plus pi. Okay. So now you can see, you multiply omega inside, so what you will get? So you will get x of t equal to a into cos of omega t plus omega into t plus pi. Okay. So now you can see here, so omega t we can write it as 2 pi by t, so that we know omega expression into t. So now this t will get cancelled. What we can write omega t? Omega t is nothing but 2 pi. So now we can write a cos of omega t plus 2 pi plus pi. Okay. So now we can write this one, a into cos of 2 pi plus omega t plus omega pi. So now we know from the trigonometric function, if we treat this as some another angle, that is theta, say for example this omega t plus phi, if I treat it as theta, then we can get a cos of 2 pi plus theta. Okay. So this we will get it. So the cos function, if it is having 2 pi plus theta, so then it will give cos of theta, again cos of theta back, because if you know the ASTC rule in a trigonometric function, so here it is all functions are positive, and here sine functions are positive, tan and cos. So like that, so if you have the ASTC rule, and if you have the angle with respect to these coordinates, so then we can get which function is positive, like that. So now here you can see, so one cycle, it is giving one cycle, that is here it is pi by 290 degree, pi by pi 180 degree, and this is 2 pi by 3, that is 270 degree, and this is 2 pi. Okay. So like that. So when now it is 2 pi plus theta, that is one circle, it is giving the value 2 pi. 2 pi plus theta means it will come in the first quadrant. So here all the functions are positive, so we can write this cos of 2 pi plus theta as cos theta. So now we can get our signal as, so now we can see here 2 pi plus theta, we can write it as cos theta. So we can get back our signal, that is a cos of omega t plus phi. So that's why we can say this cos function is a periodic signal. Okay. So understood? Any doubt? Any doubt in this? So now if the signal satisfy this condition, x of t equal to x of t plus t in even sinusoidal signal also with respect to this cos function, so then we can say that signal is periodic. Okay, so this is the continuous time case. Okay, so where we can define, so this whatever omega as 2 pi by t, and the fundamental period, so we can see here whatever omega we define, that is nothing but 2 pi by t, and the fundamental period we can get from the angular frequency, that is 2 pi by omega. Okay, so now if I want to say the signal is periodic, so it should satisfy x of t plus t equal to x of t, and the fundamental period to find it out, here it is 2 pi by omega. Okay, so this is about the periodicity of a sinusoidal signal in continuous time domain. Now let us take a discrete time domain. So if you have the signal x of n, which is equal to a into cos of omega n plus pi. So now this omega we call it as the angular frequency, as like in your continuous time case, but here it is the discrete samples, it is not like a continuous signal. So if you have a sinusoidal signals, so only at discrete time instance you will get the samples like this. Okay, so in discrete set of samples you will get it. So now if I want to say this discrete time signal as periodic signal, so the same thing applies here, that is if I want this signal to say, that is if I want to say this signal as periodic, your x of n should be equal to x of n plus n. So now if I replace n by n plus n, so you will get it as a cos of omega into n plus pi. Okay, so now this we can write it as, again rewrite it as a cos of omega n plus omega into n plus pi. So now we know this angular frequency, which is a function of the fundamental period n, so that we can write it as omega equal to 2 pi by n. So since we want to get this fundamental period n in terms of the integer, so we define this as the 2 pi n, it is a function of an integer. Okay, so we can say here, now we can write this one. So whenever this, if you want to say this signal as periodic, okay, so this omega n whatever we have, okay, it should be a function of the integer, that is it should be a function of the 2 pi, that is whatever phase we have, it should be a function of that 2 pi with an integer values of m. Okay, so then we can define this angular frequency as 2 pi n by m. So if this satisfy this condition, then we can say this discrete time sinusoidal signal, or discrete time whatever cos function we define, it is periodic. Otherwise we cannot say it is a periodic. So now we can find out the fundamental period, it should come in terms of integer only. So then we can get 2 pi by omega into m. Okay, so this you can measure it in terms of this angular frequency, it is measured in terms of radians per cycle. Okay, so this is about the periodic condition of a discrete time signal. If I want to say this signal is periodic in discrete time, so this whatever omega n, it should be a function of the 2 pi, and m should be an integer value. So where m equal to 1, 2, 3 like that it will come, but in this case it will be 1, 2, 3, and if I want to get n as a complete integer, then you will come to know m for a different values. Okay, so now if I want to say this omega, or if I want to say this alternatively, if I want to say this signal is periodic, then this omega should be, so we can say that it is a rational multiples of 2 pi. Another alternative way we can say that if I want to say this signal is periodic, so this omega, whatever angular frequency, it should be rational multiples of 2 pi, that is whatever m by n, it is a rational number, that is in the form of p by q, whatever. So where p and q both are integers, or m and n both are integers. Okay. If both are integers, then we can say this is a rational number. So now if the omega is the rational multiples of this 2 pi, then we can say this signal is periodic. Okay. So understood? Any doubt in this? Because this is very important in finding out the whether given signal is periodic or not in discrete domain. Understood? Any doubt?
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, how did 2 pi came in the third line, sir?
This one?
Above that.
This one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this one, so if you say again, if you take a signal, discrete time signal, okay, so the variation of the whatever one period you take, okay, so this is having a phase of 2 pi. One cycle, it is having a variation of 2 pi. So now if I take that omega n, so because in order to get x of n equal to x of n plus n, which is equivalent, then this should be equal to 2 pi. So whenever this should be equal to 2 pi, we have already seen that 2 pi plus whatever remaining term theta, it will become cos of theta, right? So in order to get that condition, this omega n should be equal to multiples of 2 pi. Okay. So this condition we are generating by using this sinusoidal signal with respect to the phase value.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So then if you get this condition, then we can say that this signal is periodic. So alternatively we can say this, if omega is the rational multiples of 2 pi, so we can take this ratio as the rational number, and we can say that this omega is the rational multiples of 2 pi. If it satisfies this condition, then we can say the signal is periodic. Say for example, if we take one example, if I have x of n which is equal to cos of pi by 4 n. So now this is the signal which is defined. Now we have to say whether it is periodic or not. How we can say? So take this omega. So this is if you compare this one with this one, the amplitude is 1. Okay, the amplitude is 1 cos of omega n plus pi. Now pi is 0, so there is no pi here, only cos of omega n is given. Now compare this one with omega, so what you will get? Omega equal to pi by 4. Okay. So now we know the expression for omega. What is expression for omega? Which is nothing but 2 pi m by n. So which is equal to pi by 4. Okay. So now this is equal to pi by 4. So now we can see I can cancel the pi and pi. So now I can say m by n, whatever it is. So this you send this side, so you will get 1 over 8. That means this m by n, it is nothing but a rational number. That is both m and n are integers. Now we can find out the what is the fundamental period n. By sending this n this side and this side you can send, it will give 8m. So now we can take m equal to 1, 2, 3 like that. So now whatever the value of least value of n, m whatever we give, so that will give the fundamental period. So now for m equal to 1, we will get the n value as the integer value which is equal to 8. Now for this signal, the fundamental period is 8. Okay. So now, so we can say that this signal is periodic with the fundamental period 8. Since the omega is it is a rational multiples of 2 pi. So m by n if you take, it is a rational multiple, that is 1 by 8. Is it understood now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now this is about the sinusoidal signals. So now we can go for next signal, which is an exponential signal. Now we will do some more problems on the periodic and non-periodic signals. I thought after doing these sinusoidal signals it is better to do, then we can able to understand the concept of periodic and non-periodic. Okay, so now this is over, so we will do the problems in the next class, whatever periodic and non-periodic, and I will explain some more signals. We will see later the problems. So now what is exponential signal? Okay, so exponential signal means, say for example, if we have a signal which is defined as x of t into e power at. Okay, so now this signal defines an exponential signal, that the exponential signal can be defined like this. So x of t equal to b into e power at, where b is an amplitude value and a, whatever a, whether it is greater than 0 or whether it is less than 0. So now based on the value of a, whatever we define, so we can define the signal whether it is a decaying signal or whether it is a growing signal, that is growing exponential or decaying exponential. Okay, say for example, if a is greater than 0, now for understanding purpose I will take a equal to 2. Okay, so now what will happen? So if I take a equal to 2 and if I assume amplitude is equal to 1, t equal to 1. Okay, so now x of t will become 1 into e power 2 into t. So now if I take the value of t, okay, 0, 1, 2 like that. Okay, now what will happen? So you will get e power 2t when t equal to 0, so this will become 1. Okay, so somewhere here it will become 1. So now if I give t equal to 1, it is giving e square, that is e whatever 2.71 square, so that will be greater than 1. So like that, so if I give 2, again e power 4 like this. So the signal will growing in the positive direction, so that is why it is called as the growing exponential. Okay, so the signal which is called as growing exponential. And similar way, if you take a less than 0, okay, so if I take similar like x of t for a equal to minus, so then what will happen? So if you put t equal to 0, this will become 1 and t equal to 1 e power minus 2, so like this. So somewhere it is decaying, and if I take 2, still it is going decaying, so it is go on decaying, so that is why it is called as decaying exponential. Okay, so this is growing exponential, and so it is a decaying exponential. Now this is only I have shown the positive values of t. Now if I take the negative values of t, what will happen? T equal to minus 1, again it is less than 1, that is e power minus 2 it will come. So like this, so this will go on giving the value, and here it is go on giving the value in this case. If I give t equal to minus values, that is minus 1, minus 2 like that, so minus into minus it will become plus, so it will be greater than whatever the amplitude of 1. So this signal it is decaying from negative to positive like this, and the growing exponential it is growing from negative to positive like this. So this is what we call it as an exponential signal. So similar like whatever you have the continuous time case, in the similar case in the discrete time we can define it as x of n as nothing but b into r power n. Okay, so where r we can define as an exponential term which is called as so where r we can define as an exponential term which is nothing but e power alpha. Okay, so now based on this r and based on this value of alpha, so we will get the whether it is growing exponential or it is whether it is the decaying exponential. Okay, say for example, if I substitute here r equal to e power alpha, we can get p into e power alpha into n. Okay, so now this n is nothing but similar like your t, alpha is nothing but similar like your a. Okay, so then you will get the whether it is decaying or whether it is the growing exponential. So, this will be in terms of the discrete values. So, like this, it will be go on getting the exponential signal only, okay, but in terms of discrete values, only at particular instant of time we will get it. Okay. So, this is about the growing exponential, and similar like decaying exponential if you take the value of alpha as minus. Okay. So, this is about the exponential signals. So, now we can define the exponential signal in terms of complex numbers also. Okay. So, you know the complex numbers, that is, if you have the number a plus j into b in terms of this one, so we can set it that as a complex number. So, now we can say, or we can express these exponential signals in terms of the complex, so complex exponential signals. So, how we can express that complex exponential signals? So, now by using one very known formula, that is Euler's identity. Okay. But by using this Euler's identity, we can express the signal in terms of exponential signal. So, that is, if I have signal x of t like this, that is e power j into theta. Okay. So, this is exponential signal with the complex value. Okay. So, now this complex value we can express this exponential, that is complex exponential signals, so in terms of the sinusoidal signals also. So, by using this Euler's identity, we can write this one as cos theta plus j into sin theta. Okay. So, by well known Euler's identity, we can express the signal as in terms of complex exponential signal, and also that can be expressed in terms of the sinusoidal signals by using this Euler's identity. Okay. So, even we can vary the value of theta, so something like a power j omega t. So, this theta we can write it as e power j omega t, and we can write, so this as cos omega t plus j sin omega t. Why I have written theta equal to omega t means, so in our signals and system we always used to refer with respect to frequency, because the signal we always with respect to frequency we going to define. So, that is why, so this theta we can write it in terms of exponential signal, that is complex exponential signal, as e power j omega t. So, that we can express by using Euler's identity as cos omega t plus j sin omega t. Okay. So, this is about the complex exponential signal, how we can express. Okay. So, whatever we discussed earlier, this is a real number which is which we do not have any complex value, and here it is a complex value. Both are, we can express exponential signals as real exponential signal and complex exponential signal. So, these are all complex exponential signals, and earlier whatever we discussed, that is real exponential signals. Okay. So, is it understood? Any doubt? Hello? Any doubt in this exponential signals? Okay. So, now when we combine this exponential signal in terms of sinusoidal signals, so then that we will call it as exponentially damped or increasing sinusoidal signals. That is, say for example, if I have x of t signal which is given by a into e power minus alpha t into sin of omega t plus phi. Now, I have a sine signal also, and I have a exponential signal also. Say for example, now the exponential signal which is decaying here. Okay. So, which we have discussed, this is a decaying exponential signal. Now, I have the sinusoidal signal also like this. Okay. So, both the sides. So, now if I put in the negative values, the decaying exponential like this. So, now if I multiply these two, okay, so whatever exponential signal and this one, so then it will form like exponentially damped sinusoidal signal. So, like this. So, since there is negative signal also the envelope comes like this. Okay, so this is the signal is going to reduce its amplitude as per your the exponential signal. So that we will call it as exponentially damped sinusoidal signal. Even you can have the in the negative side, which is increased value of amplitudes like this. Okay, so this is what we call it exponentially damped sinusoidal signals. So now this is in the continuous case. Even you can have a discrete time case also, which is x of n in terms of the a into e power alpha e power minus alpha n into sine of omega n plus phi. So that is in terms of the discrete time signal, that is e power minus alpha n into sine of omega n plus phi. Okay, so this is in terms of discrete time case, but here we will get the only the samples. Okay, only at particular samples or particular time samples you will going to get. So this is about the discrete time case, and this is about the continuous time case, that is exponentially damped sinusoidal signals. So is it understood? Any doubt? Raghavendra, Manoj,
Yes, sir.
Varun, understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so now we will move to the next kind of signal, which is called as the step function, or we can call it as even unit step function. Okay, so now this unit step function we can define formally as, okay, so u of t, which is equal to 1 for t greater than or equal to 0 and 0 for t less than 0. Okay, so that we can represent in signal form as, which is equal to 1 for t greater than 0 and which is equal to 0. Okay, so this is 0 for t less than 0. Okay, so now this u of t, where it will be useful. Say for example, if I analyzing the system where abrupt changes happens, I want to analyze the system for abrupt change. In that cases, see, you can see here at exactly t equal to 0, there is an abrupt change. Okay, so now if I have a system, I want to see whether the system behavior with respect to the abrupt change, then I will apply this u of t, then I will say what is the output of the system for a given abrupt change. So that is why, so this is very useful in analyzing the systems when we want the system to be analyzed with respect to any abrupt changes. And the formally the u of t, the unit step function, which is defined like this, which is t is which is greater than 0, the amplitude is 1, and if it is less than t less than 0, this will be amplitude 0. In the similar case, in the discrete time case also, we can define it as u of n equal to 1 for t greater, that is for n greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 for n less than 0. Okay, so this is in the discrete time case and this is in the continuous time case. And how we can represent in the discrete time case? So we will be having the discrete set of values like this, and it will go on continuous. Okay, so this is about the unit step function. Okay, so this is the definition and how it can be used in the systems. So now coming to the another important function, which is a ramp function. Okay, okay, so ramp function. So this ramp function we can define it as x of t equal to t for t greater than 0 and it is 0 for t less than 0. So now we can see that signal as in terms of the plot. So we can write, so t is greater than 0. Now if you want to plot this one, put the values of t equal to 1, 2, 3 like that. So if I put the value of t equal to 0, it will become 0, and if I put the value of t equal to 1, it will become 1. So at 1, so this will be 1. So since it is a continuous scale, and 2 it will become 2, and 3 it will become 3, it is growing like this. So this is what the ramp signal which we can define. Okay, so this is, so now we can even ramp function, whatever ramp function we can define in terms of unit step function. Okay, so now we can, if we have a unit step function like this, so now if I multiply these two, what will happen? So whatever the value which is there here multiplied by always the one which is giving the same value, is it not? That means we can define in terms of unit step function the ramp function as t into u of t. Even if you multiply, because this amplitude is always 1 for t greater than 0, okay, so this will give 1 which is having the same value. So that's why we can write the ramp function also in terms of unit step function as t into u of t. Okay, so now this, how it will be helpful? So if I have a system, okay, so now if I give the input ramp, so now how the system is linearly behaving with respect to the signal, that is, if I have a linear signal, how the system behaves with respect to this linear signal. So that is important in the system's concern. So this is linearly, it is varying. So the whatever the value of the t changes, correspondingly the amplitude value also it is changing. So it is linearly growing. So if I have like this, if I want to observe the system in this kind of scenario where we give the linear signals, so how the system behaves, whether it is giving the linear kind of thing or non-linear kind of thing, so that we have to observe by using this the ramp function. Okay, so even if you can take the signal in terms of discrete time, so this will give n. Okay, so where n it is greater than 0, so and it is 0 for n less than 0, and you will get the signal as it is growing like this. So whatever the 0, it is having 0, so this is, it is not there. So it is 0, 1, and you will be having 1, and 2 it will be having 1, 3 it will be having 3. So like that it is go on giving the discrete time case the ramp signal. Okay. So this is about the ramp signal. Okay. So now we have discussed today, so the sinusoidal signals and exponential signals, unit step function and ramp function, all these things. So now one more important function is there, that we will call it as impulse function. Okay, so that impulse function, so we will discuss tomorrow, or I will send the video of that also, you can see, and we will discuss if you are having any doubt. Okay, and also we will do some problems based on this tomorrow class. Okay, so is it understood? Any doubt till now? Raghavendra, Bharat?
No, sir.
Okay, so now then we will discuss in the next class. You can exit.
Sir.